The grand hall of Zarek's Prime was filled with laughter. Tall alien nobles in silver robes watched the ceremony with sneers on their faces. Bright lights shone down on the stage where the alien baron stood, holding his daughter's arm tightly. "This is your husband," he said with a grin. "A human, weak, soft. Let the galaxy see how we treat useless daughters." Lady Zeva stood silent beside him. Her silver skin glowed under the lights, and her long white hair fell like silk down her back. Her violet eyes showed no emotion. She was a royal, trained not to show weakness, but deep inside, she was burning with shame. Before her stood the man she was forced to marry, Rain, a human, dressed in a simple gray jacket, looking confused and out of place. He had short black hair, strong shoulders, and calm brown eyes. Unlike the aliens, he wasn't laughing, he wasn't angry either. He simply looked at Zeva and bowed. The nobles burst into louder laughter. "He bows, like a servant," someone shouted, but Rain's voice was steady. "It's called respect." Zeva blinked. She had expected him to beg or cry. Instead, he helped her up gently when the ceremony ended. "Do you want to sit?" he asked. She nodded slowly. It was the first time someone had asked what she wanted. They were taken to a small guest home outside the main palace. It was meant to be humiliating. No servants, no luxury, just one room, one bed, and silence. Zeva sat on the edge of the bed, looking around. "This is punishment," she whispered. Rain sat across from her. "For me, too?" She looked up. "Did they force you?" He shook his head. "They paid me." "Then why are you not laughing?" she asked coldly. Rain paused. "Because marriage is not a joke to me, even if they think it is." She looked away. Her father had given her to this man to shame her. And yet, she felt more seen in this 1 hour than in her whole life. Later that night, Zeva couldn't sleep. She sat near the window, looking out at the alien moons. Rain was lying on the bed, quiet, giving her space. Finally, she spoke. "Do humans believe in honor?" Rain sat up. "Some of us do. I do." She turned to him. "And do you believe in kindness for enemies?" "You're not my enemy," he said simply. Zeva stood and walked slowly to him. "You don't know me." "Don't need to, I can see you're in pain." Her voice cracked. "I'm not supposed to feel pain. I'm a noble, a daughter of the Baron." Rain didn't move. "You're also a woman. And right now you're alone. But you don't have to be." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she sat down beside him. "I will not share a bed with you," she said. "I didn't ask you to," he replied. "This is your space too. Rest however you like. No pressure, no demand. Just peace." Zeva lay back slowly. For the first time in years, she slept without fear. The next morning, Zeva woke up to the smell of cooked food. Rain was near a small stove, humming to himself. "What is that smell?" she asked. "Eggs," he said. "Or something like it. Your palace had supplies." She sat up, confused. "You can cook?" "I'm a mechanic by trade, but I had to cook for my siblings when I was younger." Zeva looked at the plate he handed her. It was simple and warm. She took a bite, and her eyes widened. "It's good." Rain grinned. "Glad to hear." There was silence again, but this time it wasn't cold. It was gentle. Later, outside, the home, Zeva stood watching a small creature in the garden. Rain joined her. "I used to have a pet like that," he said. "Did it bite?" she asked. He laughed. "Only once, but I forgave it." She turned to him. "You forgive easily?" "Not always," he said. "But sometimes people just need someone to believe in them." Zeva looked down at her hands. "No one has ever believed in me. Not even my father." Rain looked at her softly. "Then maybe it's time someone did." Her breath caught. No one had spoken to her like that before. Not even her tutors. Not even her guards. She felt her heart beat faster. That night, while sitting in the quiet room, Ziva finally asked the question that had been haunting her. "Why are you kind to me?" Rain didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because I don't think you're a joke." Tears formed in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. "I don't want to cry," she whispered. Rain smiled. "Then don't. Just be who you are." Ziva stared at him, and something changed inside her. The joke wedding was no longer a joke. It was the beginning of something real, something that neither of them could stop now. The sun on Xerek's prime was different from Earth's sun, colder, paler, and it never fully warmed the ground. Lady Ziva stepped outside the small stone house and breathed in the dry morning air. She wore a long, dark cloak, but even that couldn't cover how uncomfortable she felt in this simple life. Inside, Rain was fixing a broken pipe. He wiped sweat from his forehead with his sleeve and glanced at her through the open door. "You don't like the mornings here," he said casually. She turned. "Your human instincts are sharp." He smiled. "I've worked around machines for years. You learn to read signs." Ziva folded her arms. "I am not a machine." "I know," Rain said, standing. "That's why I'm trying to understand you." That sentence sat in the air for a moment, soft and heavy. No one had ever tried to understand her. They had trained her, shaped her, ordered her, but never asked who she truly was. That day, Rain took her to the nearby human trade station, a small market dome built by settlers. It was crowded, loud, and smelled like spice and oil. Ziva flinched as vendors shouted, machines buzzed, and children laughed. "They let children run free?" she asked in disbelief. Rain chuckled. "Yeah, kids need space to grow." Shiva looked at a small human girl laughing while chasing a synthetic bird. "We were never allowed to laugh as children. Laughter was weakness." Rain bought 2 cups of hot juice and handed one to her. "Then maybe it's time you learned." They sat under a shaded canopy watching people go by. An old man played a string instrument while others clapped to the rhythm. Ziva sipped the drink slowly. "It's sweet," she said, surprised. "First time tasting human fruit extract?" Rain asked. She nodded. "In my house, we only consumed purified nutrients. Flavor was unnecessary." "That's tragic," Rain said gently. She looked at him. "Why are you always so soft?" "Because the world is already hard," he answered. "Being kind doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." She stared down at her cup. Her hands were trembling slightly, but she wasn't cold. She was beginning to feel something unfamiliar. Peace. As the days passed, Ziva began to help around the house, not because Rain asked her to, but because she wanted to. She swept the floors, organized tools, and even tried cooking. The first time she burned a pan, she shouted, "This metal is defective." Rain laughed so hard he had to sit down. "It's not the pan. You just turned the heat up too high." She frowned. "You find joy in my failure?" He wiped his eyes, still laughing. "No. I find joy in seeing you try." One evening, the power went out. A storm rumbled overhead and the wind howled like angry ghosts outside their small house. With only a lantern between them, they sat on the floor near the bed. Ziva hugged her knees tightly, uncomfortable with the darkness. Rain sat across from her. "I used to be afraid of storms too," he said. She looked at him, surprised. "You?" He nodded. "When I was a child, I'd hide in a closet. Then one day my sister told me, 'Storms are just the sky telling stories too loud.' I never feared them again." Ziva smiled faintly. "Your people are strange, but your stories are kind." The light from the lantern made her silver skin glow. Her violet eyes looked softer now, no longer guarded. She leaned her head on the wall and whispered, "Tell me a human story." Rain began talking about Earth, its blue oceans, its forests, its animals. He spoke of rain that smelled like hope, and stars that felt close enough to touch. Ziva listened like a child hearing a fairy tale for the first time. The storm passed, but they stayed there, quiet. I was born to be a soldier's wife, Shiva said suddenly. A political tool, a name, nothing more. Rain leaned closer. You're more than that. How do you know? She asked. Because I've seen you smile. I've seen you care for this place. That's not a tool. That's a soul. A silence hung in the air. Then slowly Ziva reached out and touched his hand. It wasn't passion. It wasn't duty. It was trust. The next day, as Ziva walked through the market alone for the first time, a vendor tried to give her a flower. She took it, confused. Why give me this? The vendor shrugged. You look happier these days. It suits you. She stared at the flower for a long time, then smiled. That night, when Rain returned from a repair job, he found the flower in a cup on the table. You bought this? He asked. No, Ziva said, sitting near the window. Someone gave it to me. They said it suits me. Rain looked at her. They were right. Ziva looked up. Rain. Yes? She hesitated. If this was meant to be a joke, then why does it feel like a beginning? He smiled. Because maybe it is. The sky was quiet that evening. No storms, no winds, just a soft breeze over the plains of Xerex Prime. Inside the stone house, a strange silence wrapped around them. Not cold silence, but the kind that comes before something important is said. Or done. Ziva stood by the table, her fingers lightly brushing the rim of her cup. She was wearing a simple dress, brown, rough fabric, not the royal silk she once knew, but she had never felt more herself. Rain was outside, checking the solar panels. A quiet hum came from his tool, then a small spark. Ziva stepped outside and called gently, Is it broken again? Rain turned. Not broken, just stubborn, like someone I know. Ziva raised one silver eyebrow. Are you saying I'm difficult? I'm saying you're strong, he replied. That's different. She looked away, a rare smile trying to escape her lips. Strange. In my world, no one ever said that to me. That night, they didn't eat much. Ziva wasn't hungry. Something felt different in the air. She sat on the floor near the fire pit, legs crossed, lost in thought. Rain placed a small blanket over her shoulders and sat beside her. Cold? He asked. No, she whispered. Just full. He looked confused. You didn't eat anything. I'm full of questions, she said. About myself, about you, about this marriage. Rain leaned back on his hands. Ask me anything. She turned to him, her violet eyes glowing in the firelight. Why did you accept the deal? My father gave you credits to marry me. Why say yes? Rain sighed. At first, I needed the money. Earth mechanics don't get much work out here. But when I saw you, standing beside your father so still, I realized this wasn't a joke for you either. You looked like someone trying not to break. Ziva's lips parted slightly. Her voice came softer now. And you didn't laugh. No, he said. Because how could anyone laugh at someone so strong? Shiva looked into the fire. You make me feel like I belong. Like I'm not broken. You're not broken, Ziva, he said. You're just beginning to heal. Later, Ziva stood up and walked toward the small window. The two moons of Xerex Prime hung low in the sky. One was red, the other blue. She remembered as a child she was told never to stare at them too long. Moons were for the bold, not for the quiet. But tonight she stared. I used to wish I could fly away, she said, past the stars, past the titles, past the rules. Rain stood behind her now. And where would you go? She turned slightly. Someplace like this, where I could breathe. Rain was quiet for a moment, then said, You don't have to wish anymore. You're already here. She turned to face him closer than she had ever stood before. I don't understand what's happening to me, she whispered. I was given to you like a thing. But now, I don't want to be anywhere else. Rain reached out slowly, gently placing a hand near her cheek. Then don't be anywhere else. She didn't move away. She didn't blink. Her voice trembled. I've never done this before. Me neither, he said, smiling. I mean this, she said, placing her hand on his chest, letting someone close. Rain covered her hand with his. Then we can learn together. That night they lay side by side, not out of duty, but out of choice. Rain didn't rush her. He didn't claim her. He waited, until she turned to him and whispered, Stay close. Their hands met first, fingers entwined, learning the shape of trust. Then a kiss, soft, uncertain, but real. And in that moment, the joke marriage became something else. It became a promise, not of forever, not yet, but of truth. Sometime in the quiet hours, Siva rested, her head against his chest, and asked, If I were taken away, would you come for me? Rain didn't hesitate. I wouldn't stop until I found you. She closed her eyes. Then I'm not afraid anymore. Outside, the moons glowed brighter than ever, and inside that small house, two souls, so different, so far from where they began, finally started moving in rhythm. In the dark tower of Xerex Prime, the alien Baron stared at the screen in silence. His hands trembled with fury. The hollow recording played again. His daughter, Lady Ziva, resting, peacefully in the arms of a human, her head on his chest, her body close to his, her eyes full of trust. This was no joke anymore. What have you done, daughter? He growled. The guards around him stood still. No one dared to speak. The Baron turned sharply. Send a retrieval, team. Full force, no mercy. Bring her back to me. Back on the edge of the settlement, Ziva and Rain had no idea that warships had already left orbit. They spent that morning like any other, simple and calm. Rain repaired the water pump behind the house. Ziva sat nearby, learning how to twist wires and seal leaks. She had never done anything like this before, but she enjoyed watching his hands work, steady and skilled. Why do you fix things? She asked. Because I hate waste, Rain said. Everything broken still has value. She looked down at her own hands. Even people? He smiled softly. Especially people. That afternoon, a bird flew overhead, a strange one. Its wings shimmered with metal. Siva stood up sharply. That's not a real bird. Rain frowned. A drone? Siva's voice turned cold. That's my father's tech. He's watching. She rushed inside, grabbed a small bag they had packed days earlier, just in case. We need to move, she said. Move where? Rain asked. Anywhere but here, because once he sees what's happened, he'll come. And he was already on his way. That night, the skies turned red. 3 alien warships broke through the clouds, hovering above the quiet village like monsters from old myths. People screamed, lights flickered, soldiers dropped to the ground in black armor. Rain pulled Ziva into a storage tunnel behind their home. He gave her his old jacket and a tool in case they were separated. I won't let them take you, he said. You can't fight them all, she said. Rain smiled bitterly. I don't have to win. I just have to keep you free. Ziva touched his face. You're not just a man anymore. You're my shield. Outside, the soldiers spread, like shadows. They broke into homes, questioned locals, scanned heat signatures. The leader, a tall alien with a scar over one eye, growled, She's near. I smell human scent. And hers. The tunnel was narrow, cold, and dusty. Ziva tried to stay silent, but her heart pounded in her ears. Rain held her hand tight. Suddenly, footsteps. Closer. Heavy boots right above them. Ziva turned to Rain. If they catch us, They won't, he said. But if they do, she whispered, voice trembling. Don't fight to die. Fight to live. Live for me. Rain nodded. I will. The trapdoor burst open. A beam of light cut through the dark. Found them! The soldier shouted. Rain jumped up, slamming the trapdoor shut from below. Run! He shouted to Ziva. But she didn't run. She pulled out the small tool he had given her. It wasn't just for repairs. It was also a blaster. As the door cracked open again, she fired once, straight at the soldier's foot. He howled and fell backward. Rain grabbed her hand. You shot him. I'm not useless, she said, voice cold. I'm done running. They ran through the tunnel into the open wildlands where the air was colder and the land was raw. Behind them, the soldiers regrouped. A voice thundered through a speaker above. Ziva of House Drankel, return now. You have dishonored your family. She stopped and turned toward the sound. I was never honored to begin with, she whispered. Rain pulled her close. They won't stop. Ziva looked down, then touched her belly. Rain, she said slowly. I'm late. I've missed 2 cycles. Rain blinked. Wait, are you saying? I think I'm carrying your child. He stared at her. His mouth opened, then closed, and far above them in the ship's command chamber her father heard everything. Inside the main warship the Baron smashed his fist against the console. A child? He snarled. With a human? The advisor beside him whispered. That means... Your line continues. Even if through impure blood. The Baron's eyes narrowed. Bring her to me. No matter the cost, the child is mine. I will raise it to forget its human side. Back in the wildlands, Rain and Ziva hid beneath a rocky overhang. He placed his hand gently over her stomach. We're not just running anymore, he said. We're protecting someone. Ziva nodded. Then we fight. For this child. For us. Rain smiled. Then let them come. I've got something worth fighting for now. Above them, thunder rolled once more. But it wasn't the sky. This time it was war. The escape didn't last. At sunrise they reached the edge of a dried riverbed. Their breath came in short gasps. Dust clung to their clothes. Behind them, the sky was still filled with the black shape of her father's warship. Ziva leaned against a broken tree, holding her stomach gently. Her face was pale. Rain crouched in front of her. You need rest. We'll hide here just for a while. But the silence didn't last either. A strange whistle broke the air. Rain's eyes widened. That's not wind. He turned just as a flash grenade exploded beside them. White light swallowed everything. Ziva woke up screaming. She was inside, a glass room. Cold, sterile, bright. She was wearing a silver medical gown. Her arms were strapped down gently but firmly. Her father stood on the other side of the glass. You disgraced me, he said calmly. But your body still has value. She tried to move. Where's Rain? The Baron didn't answer. Instead, he turned to a doctor beside him. Begin tests. Confirm the pregnancy. If the child is real, we take it. Ziva's eyes burned with rage. You'll never touch my child. Meanwhile, Rain woke up on hard metal. He was locked inside a transport cell, deep in the belly of the warship. A voice crackled above. Human, you are nothing. But your blood now carries something. We want. Rain sat up slowly, head pounding. Where is she? The voice didn't answer. He closed his eyes and whispered, Just stay strong, Ziva. I'll come for you. I swear it. Days passed. Or maybe only hours. Time felt twisted inside the alien prison. Ziva stared out the glass wall, watching ships come and go. Her hand never left her belly. She wasn't even sure yet. But deep in her body, she felt the life growing. When the doctor returned, he spoke without emotion. The child is confirmed, hybrid, viable. The Baron's eyes narrowed. Excellent, Ziva spat at the glass. You can't control this child like you control me. The Baron's voice was ice. Watch me. Rain waited. Then one night a young alien guard slipped something through the cell door, a small tool wrapped in cloth. Rain looked up. The guard whispered, "She saved my sister's life once, during the flood. I owe her." Rain nodded. "I owe her my whole life." Within minutes he had the lock broken, but escaping the warship would take more than luck. It would take love. That same night, Xeno was taken to the preparation chamber. "You will be moved to the breeding facility," the guard said. Xeno smiled bitterly. "You think I'm afraid?" The guard blinked. "No, you should be." But as the doors opened, smoke filled the corridor. The fire alarm howled. Lights flickered, and from the smoke came Rain. He looked wild, bruised, eyes full of fire. "Siva," she gasped. "You came. I told you I would." He tore off her restraints. Alarms rang. Guards shouted. Rain grabbed her hand. "Can you run?" She nodded. "For our child, yes." They raced down the corridor, side by side. But the path to the hangar was blocked. A blast echoed behind them. Rain turned. 3 soldiers. He pushed Xeno into a hidden supply chamber. "Go, I'll hold them off." "No," she screamed. He smiled, eyes soft. "I'm not dying. I'm just buying time." He kissed her, quick and full of fire. Then he ran into the storm of bullets. Siva crawled through a maintenance shaft, holding back tears. Her arms ached. Her belly throbbed, but in her chest, there was only one thought. Survive. For him. For the child. She reached an escape pod. As she launched into space, the warship behind her exploded in blue light. Later, far from the Baron's empire, on a quiet moon base, Xeno sat alone. She was alive. She was free. But she was alone. No word from Rain. Was he alive? Was he captured again? Or was he gone? She placed a hand on her stomach. "You still have him," she whispered, "and I will never let anyone take you." Tears rolled down her silver cheeks, and in the silence of the stars, her war truly began. The moon base was quiet. Too quiet. Siva moved through the shadows of the refugee station with a hood over her head and pain in her chest. Her body ached from the escape. Her mind was frozen by loss. No word from Rain. No signal. No message. The ship he was last seen on exploded. The blast had painted the sky blue. She had seen it from her escape pod window. And yet, she still felt him. Not in her mind. In her heart. She stood at the outer wall of the station, watching the stars. Her hand rested on her belly. It had begun to show. Just a little. But it was enough. Enough to remind her she wasn't alone. Her child was growing. His child. Their child. A gruff voice broke the silence. "You should be inside, miss. This area isn't safe at night." She turned to see a station guard. Old, tired, but kind. Siva nodded. "I needed air." The man looked at her face, then looked again. "You're not from here." "No," she whispered. He stepped closer. "You're her. The Baron's daughter." She didn't deny it. The man lowered his voice. "You're the one who escaped, the one they're hunting." Siva's jaw tightened. "I'm also carrying the child they want." The guard hesitated, then said quietly, "If you need a ship, I know someone." Her eyes snapped up. "Why help me?" He shrugged. "You may be alien, but you're also a mother." Later that night, under a false ID and a borrowed coat, Xeno boarded a small trade vessel. The captain, a one-eyed woman with a rebel past, agreed to fly her out of the system. "We're headed toward the Sol Drift Zone," the woman said. "It's rough space, but the Empire doesn't chase anyone there." Xeno nodded. "Rough space is better than cages." During the trip, Xeno stayed in a cargo room, alone with her thoughts. She replayed the last time she saw Rain. His voice, his kiss, the way he pushed her toward safety. He said he would come back. But the warship exploded. No escape pod. No trace. Still, her soul wouldn't believe he was gone. Not yet. A few days later, while helping the crew unload supplies, Siva overheard something, a transmission, faint, broken, but familiar. "This is Rain Harrow, escaping Empire custody. Injured coordinates, 7.9 by 3.1. She dropped the crate. The crew froze. The voice cut off. "Play that again," she demanded. The captain frowned. "You know him?" Tears filled Ziva's eyes. "He's the father of my child, and he's alive." The captain stared, then slowly nodded. "We changed course." It took 4 days. 4 days through broken sectors, meteor fields, and scanner-dead space. But finally they reached the wreck of a transport ship drifting in orbit around a dead moon. The crew sent a drone. It scanned the wreck. One life form. Weak, injured, but alive. Siva insisted on going herself. She suited up, stepped into the small shuttle. Her hands shook as she flew across the black. As she entered the wreck, everything was still. Smoke curled from the broken panels. Sparks flickered like dying stars. Then she saw him. Rain, lying beneath a fallen beam, eyes closed, face bruised, but breathing. Her heart nearly stopped. She ran, pulled off her helmet, and dropped beside him. "Rain, Rain, it's me." His eyes blinked slowly. And then, he smiled. "Took you long enough," he whispered. She laughed, even as tears streamed down her face. "You idiot. I thought I lost you." "You almost did," he coughed. "But then I heard your voice in my dreams." She pressed his hand to her stomach. "You weren't dreaming. I'm still here. And so is your child." Rain's eyes filled with tears. "I held on. For both of you." They returned to the trade ship together, weak but alive, bruised but whole. For the first time in weeks, Ziva slept in his arms again, the baby between them, safe. But as the stars passed outside the window, a shadow moved in space. A new hunter, new danger. Her father wasn't done yet. Rain sat on the edge of the medbay bed, one arm wrapped gently around Ziva. Her head rested on his shoulder, and his hand stayed on her belly. Their child kicked softly. He smiled. "You feel that?" he whispered. Ziva nodded, eyes closed. "It's real. Everything's real now." For days they had floated through empty star space, safe but always watching. The captain had promised to hide them, but even rebels feared the wrath of an angry Baron, especially one whose heir was now growing inside the womb of a human wife. In the ship's control room, the captain frowned at the long-range scanner. "Trouble," she muttered. "Big trouble." A shadow stretched across the stars, one of the Baron's flagships. Siva felt it before the alert even came. She sat upright, holding her stomach. "He found us." Rain was already up. "We're not giving in." The captain stormed into the medbay. "They're hailing, demanding we surrender the royal daughter and the unborn child. If we don't, they'll destroy us all." Rain stood tall. "Then we run." But Ziva didn't move. "No," she said. "We don't run this time." The captain stared. "What are you saying?" Shiva looked at Rain. "This ends today. He will never stop, not until he owns our child." Rain's voice dropped low. "Then, we face him. Together." They suited up. Rain wore scavenged battle gear. Ziva donned a thin combat dress laced with nanoweave. It once belonged to her mother, a warrior queen before politics turned her into a prisoner. Ziva touched her child. "I will not become like her." Rain took her hand. "You won't. Not while I'm here." They sent a message. "Baron Drankel, this is your daughter. If you want to speak, come alone. No ships, no soldiers, just you." He responded with silence. Then a landing pod detached from the flagship. Moments later, it docked. Ziva stood in the cargo bay. Her back was straight, her expression calm. But her heart was on fire. The doors opened with a hiss. Her father stepped in, cold, proud, tall as ever. But there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Fear. He looked at Rain, then at Ziva's belly. So, it's true. Yes, she said. You carry a hybrid. A child, she corrected. Not a tool, not a weapon. A child of two worlds. The Baron stepped forward. Give it to me. Raise it in the palace. It will have power. Rain's voice was sharp. And chains. The Baron turned. And what can you offer? Dirt and grease? Life among insects? Ziva stepped between them. You gave me to him as a joke, she said. But this child is not a joke. This child is love, and I will die before you ever control them. The Baron hesitated. For the first time, he looked uncertain. He stared at his daughter. Not the little girl he used to command, but a woman, a warrior, a mother. And beside her stood the human he tried to humiliate, unbroken, proud, holding her hand. The Baron slowly turned back to the door. You have chosen your path, he said. I have chosen my family, Ziva replied. Without another word, the Baron walked away. No threats, no war, just silence. Sometimes even a tyrant knows when he's lost. 3 months later, on a quiet farming colony near a twin star system, a baby cried. Rain held her close. Tiny fingers wrapped around his thumb. Her skin shimmered faintly like her mother's, but her eyes, brown, deep, and full of life, were his. Ziva sat beside him, exhausted but smiling. She's strong, she whispered. Rain kissed her forehead, like her mother. Outside, stars, stretched forever. The war was over. They had no throne, no crown, just a home, a child, and a love that was never meant to exist, but now would never be broken.